Typically on a Friday when we bring in the football scientists, it's a glorious time. But things have not been glorious with this Philadelphia Eagles team, nor this Jacksonville Jaguars team, KC Joyner. So we'll dive into this matchup here as these two teams almost mirror each other with the issues that they've had.
Yeah, you'd hope that they would showcase something better for the London audience. They're not going to see the NFL at its true best, but still a lot of name talent on these teams, and a lot of good players in teams that can get better. But man, these teams, you couldn't pick a worse time to put both these teams together.
Yeah, I know that the Eagles have had all sorts of injury issues. So has Jacksonville. Let's start with the matchups to watch here. I want to go Eagles offensive line. I don't know that they're going to run the ball, but is this a team you can run the ball on?
Well, if I'm looking at my offensive line and run blocking grades, I do these for the ESPN Plus section and the fantasy section every week, looking at it from a fantasy perspective. And the Eagles rank, right now, they rank 18th of our run blocking grades to get a C+, and Jacksonville's defense ranks 14th of the B. So if you compare the two grades, Philadelphia ranks 21st in blocking differential. It means the 21st ranked matchup this week. So it's really not a favorable matchup for Philadelphia from that perspective. But I think offensively they still need to get back to being the team that runs the football, because you really don't want to be trying to be a pass-first team to go into Jacksonville.
Yeah, and if you're going to throw the ball against the Jags, they got three guys out in the secondary. I mean, is this the week that you're going to pick to do it?
If ever there's a week that you wanted to do it, you could. They've been struggling at nickel coverage anyway. Remember what Cole Beasley did a couple weeks ago. A.J. Bouye is out, so you can go to a target there. Jalen Ramsey's still, if I'm the Jaguars, I'm still having Ramsey follow Jeffrey everywhere. So it might be a week to where some of the other receivers, Aguilar and Jordan Matthews, maybe they need to step up this week, because if ever there's a week they could do it, this would be that week. I worry a little bit about the pass blocking, but this might be a week where you're going to have to do, you're going to throw at Jacksonville more than you would normally, let's say.
All right, and you look at the Eagles' passing game. I mean, they have not had explosive plays. We talk every week, Casey, about Zach Ertz. Alshon Jeffrey's been pretty good. But Nelson Aguilar was a big factor last year. He has been almost irrelevant this year. Is there a way they can get him going?
You'd hope they could. This is of all the weeks that they could do that, because again, when you've got the players that they're missing in their secondary, and Bouye, everybody talks about Jalen Ramsey. Bouye, if you look at his metrics, he's nearly as good as. In fact, in some ways, in some metrics, he has been better than Ramsey over the past couple of years. So to have him out is a big plus, and it'd be something you could. A matchup he could target. But for Philadelphia, I mean, the problem for them is that, I mean, Ertz leads them in vertical yards. In fact, Ertz has 324 of Philadelphia's 906 vertical passing yards this year. Aguilar is second on the team, 153. You wouldn't think so, but he's second. But still, he has half as many yards as Ertz. Jeffrey only has 127, so you need Jeffrey. But Jeffrey's only played in 4 games, so if you prorated that out, he'd be second. But still, Aguilar in the 7 games, he only has 6 receptions for 153. You need him to be doing better than that, and you really, if you're the Eagles, you don't want your tight end leading in vertical passing yards. That's not the way offenses work in the NFL.
Flipping around on the other side, Eagles defense has been pretty good. They blew a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter last week, so everybody's looking at that saying, you got to make stops. You got to be able to make plays. You take the fact that the fourth quarter they really, I thought, played poorly. They've been pretty good. This is a pretty bad Jacksonville offense they'll see. How do you think Carlos Hyde factors in for them?
They want to be that power rushing team, and now if they get Yeldon and Hyde, they could do a 1-2. I mean, they have been going Fournette, obviously, as their total bell cow, but now if they go Yeldon and Hyde, and even if they only give Hyde 10 carries, something along those lines, if they could give him 10 carries, actually, they'd be very happy with that, because that means they're probably giving Yeldon 10 and they're running the ball 20 times, which they would love to be able to do, because they're back to the we never want Blake Bortles to throw the football mode that they were talking about going into last season. Problem for Jacksonville, though, or a problem for Philadelphia, actually, I should say. Philadelphia, they've got the reputation of a great run defense, and their metrics have been good for a portion of the time this year. If you take the last 5 weeks, though, they rank as a C in my advanced rushing defense metrics, and that's 22nd in the league. And Jacksonville is 14th in run blocking. So Jacksonville's got an edge there. Philadelphia keeps playing the way it has been playing.
Yeah, well, Philly, it's been talked a little bit about it, but the defensive tackle spot, they don't have Jernigan and Bo Allen left, and they've been kind of losing guys in that rotation there. Nada's been out. It seems like, I agree, that you have been able to run the ball sneaky a little bit better on the Eagles the last couple of weeks. What about if Blake Bortles is going to throw the ball? Can the Eagles get to him? We had Sal Powell on earlier in the show, and he thinks a big factor in the game will be getting to Bortles, getting some hits on him, and then obviously they pulled him last week.
The thing you want to do is you want to get hits on him and all that, but really what you want to do is let him throw the ball because he makes a lot of mistakes throwing the football. He's terrible in the bad decision rate metric, and that's the metric that measures how many mental mistakes a quarter makes that leads to a turnover opportunity. So, and you really want to let him throw the football if you can, but when it comes to pass blocking, Jacksonville has some horrible pass blocking. They ranked 25th on my pass blocking metrics for the past 5 weeks, and Philadelphia ranked 16th. So Philadelphia's got a big edge there. So the pass rush hasn't been great for Philly, but this is a matchup where they ought to be able to do it. And again, if I'm them, I get after them, but also get your ball hawks out because you should have some of those in your secondary. You got players who've shown a history of that. You need those ball hawks out there because he's going to give you chances to make picks. You got to take them.
Yeah, you got to. How's their offensive line? I mean, obviously. Bortles is kind of shaky to begin with, but how's the offensive line at protecting him?
They're doing, like I said, they're not very well at all protecting him. If you're going over the past 5 weeks, so I've shifted all my metrics to cover the last 5 weeks now. Looking at the past 5 weeks, the Jaguars are 28th in pass pressure rate allowed. 34% of the time when he drops back, they're allowing pass pressure and allowing a quarterback hit, some sort of contact, sack him, hit him, something along those lines. 18.3% of the time. It's 27th in the league over that time. It's terrible. And they're giving him enough time. He's getting about 2.3 seconds per pass. That's good. That's 12th best. But he's usually getting a lot of pressure when he is throwing. So this is again a matchup where the Eagles ought to be able to put some pressure on this guy.
All right, these two teams struggling to score. The Eagles are 22nd in scoring, and I imagine that Jacksonville is right around there, if not worse. You look at this game, and both teams struggle on offense, but the defensive numbers say they've both been doing a good job. So, whose offense against these defenses do you like better?
I'll use some vertical passing numbers here. The Eagles are averaging 12.2 yards per attempt on vertical passes over the past 5 weeks. That's 16th in the league. They're going up against the Jaguars, who are the past 5 weeks are allowing 7.9 yards per attempt, best in the league. So you've got middle of the league numbers for Jacksonville, for Philly's vertical offense versus Jacksonville's league best against stopping the pass. But the Jaguars are 28th in vertical yards per attempt on offense for them, and the Eagles are 7th. So I think the Eagles have an edge in stopping vertical passing. Their matchup is a lot better because the Jaguars are just horrible at throwing vertical passes. So I'm the Eagles. I'm challenging them. Go ahead and try and throw vertical passes. We don't think that you can, and we think we can get a pass rush on you and say, I'd love to be able to get them to a point where they could do that. By the way, key for the Eagles, when we're talking run defense, a real big key here. Eagles, over the last 5 weeks, they're allowing 11.5 yards per attempt, and the other team gets good blocking. That's horrible. That's atrocious. It's easily the worst in the league. If they can get that number down to a normal number, to where you're on 6-7 yards per attempt, that they can do that, and that's a lot of safety help. If you can do that, then I think that changes the whole dynamic for Jacksonville and makes them do the things they don't want to do.
What's one matchup you like above everything else? Who has one big advantage in this one?
I'm still liking the Eagles. Still liking Ertz, that matchup a ton. I'm liking that matchup, and I'm liking the Eagles receivers versus the nickel corner for Jacksonville. I think that they need to get their slot receivers involved. I think they need to challenge because you're going to be talking. It could be second or third string cornerback for Jacksonville at nickel. So if I'm them, I'd like the Eagles in that matchup a lot. I want to go to those two players. If they can get 15 and 20 targets to Aguilar and Ertz combined and get the production they should get out of that, that's a big plus for them.
I feel like we talk about Ertz almost weekly, which we do, and he produces. I mean, we talk about him and he gets the job done. My question is, last year Aguilar gave him so much. Jeffrey was very good. He wasn't great. He wasn't like a number one premier guy. But can you be great if your tight end is your number one weapon on offense?
The tight end, if you have the tight end as your number one weapon on offense, with rare exceptions, because even New England, when you look at their metrics of Gronk when he was playing as well as he can play, and by the way, Ertz right now is arguably the best tight end in football. No disrespect to Kelsey. I think Ertz is the best tight end in football right now. Even if that's the case, that limits what you could do in offense. There's only so many ways you're going to have a tight end to be able to attack a defense, and it's a troubling issue. And I'll tell you one thing that's troubling for Aguilar. You mentioned him, though. According to the ESPN stats information, Aguilar is being targeted on 7.8%. He's getting reception on 7.8% of his routes run. It's a very low number. It means that you're running a lot of routes, but you're not getting receptions. He's getting targeted plenty, but he's not getting receptions. He just needs to be more consistent. That's a big thing for him. 35.3% catch rate on vertical passes.
All right, Week 8 is on the way. We saw a game on Thursday night. The Texans beat up on the Dolphins, and let's take a look at what else is in store for Week 8 of the NFL. By the way, 5 straight now for Houston as they beat Miami 42-23. Started in Chicago, where the Bears take on Darnold and the Jets. The Bears last week, they lose. They put up 30-plus points against the Patriots. Should feel pretty good, I guess, if you're the Bears going against the Jets on the road.
Should. New England nailed Chicago, though, to the second lowest pass pressure rate that any team has had this season. It says that they're having troubles with Mack because he's banged up. He's not playing as well as he is capable of playing, but that's the Patriots. This is the Jets. The Jets aren't going to be able to slow Chicago's defense down. Chicago wins.
Tampa's head to Cincinnati. Bengals got bombed last week. Bucks haven't done well since that Eagles game. They have really struggled to stop anyone. Do they struggle to stop Andy and the Bengals?
I think they do struggle a lot. They've got their safeties. I talk about the red, yellow, green ratings for matchups, and both their safeties rate as green-rated safeties. They're just this is a team. Both teams are in trouble in that sense, though. But if I'm talking high-powered offenses, I'm still going to take Cincinnati because their defense is a little bit better. Although their defense is banged up, I think it's going to be a close call. But I think Cincinnati's just good enough to win.
Detroit's been much better since opening night. Loss against the Jets. Seattle is kind of a pesky team. You know, they used to be a standout team. Now they're kind of pesky. They got to travel on the road. Even when they're really good, they don't travel nearly as well. Can they go to Detroit and pick up an upset win?
I don't think so because Detroit, I mentioned that ESPN Plus fantasy article looking at blocking matchups. The Thursday article I wrote had Detroit as having the best run blocking matchup in the league this week. They've been blocking phenomenally well. Johnson should be, by the way, he should be their lead back because he's averaging nearly twice as many yards per attempt at good blocking plays as Garrett Blount. So I think that they're going to be able to just use that pounding approach, and they're going to be able to beat Seattle 10 points.
Ooh, 10 points. I like that. All right, Denver's heading to Kansas City. At what week do the Chiefs get slowed down? Is this the one?
This is probably not the one because even if they went to Denver a couple weeks ago and at Denver and that we're doing just fine. This is home. Everybody in the league is doing everything they can at Mahomes, and he's figured it all out. I don't think that this. I think if Kansas City's facing Baltimore, I'd give Baltimore a good chance of being able to slow him down. But Denver, not with this defense, I don't think you're going to be able to do it. Kansas City wins handily.
All right, Washington is an underdog, by the way, at the Giants. They got to travel. Giants made some trades. They got all sorts of issues. Is this the kind of game where Washington, everyone's starting to believe in them, and then they stub their toe?
That's the way it would normally be, but if you're the Giants players, I mean, Snacks is gone, Apple's gone, so you know the team's throwing in the towel in the season. If I'm the Giants players, I'm thinking that that's the case. And Washington, that run offense is doing fantastic, and Peterson's not going to give any breakaways anymore, but as far as power running for the first 10, 15 yards on a run, he's just as good as anybody in the league right now, and I'll take that over what the Giants. I mean, Barkley's great, but he's all their offense, and really, if you look at their offense outside of Barkley, it's still atrocious, so I got to go Washington on that one.
All right, let's head to Pittsburgh. These two teams tied to start the season. Pittsburgh, got off to a rocky start. They smoothed the ship. People were buying into Cleveland. They won a couple of games. They've been to overtime 4 times. But are they the same Browns on the road against Pittsburgh?
They're not, and Pittsburgh's got a huge pass blocking edge. In fact, you start looking at the advanced metrics, you just have to scratch your head and go, how the heck is Pittsburgh not better than this? Because they've got really good pass blocking metrics, really good pass rush metrics. Their pass defense metrics, if you look at the last few weeks, are very good. And if you take out some of the mistakes they've had, that's a big plus. And plus, they're getting back Morgan Burnett, their free safety, the starting free safety, so I think that's going to improve. You just add all the factors together. I think Pittsburgh wins this one fairly handily. They show the league that, look, that tie in week 1, that was a fluke.
Agree. Carolina at home, an underdog at home against Baltimore. I like Baltimore, but Carolina, that's disrespectful. 2.5-point dog at home. Panthers coming off a win last week. Baltimore loses on a missed extra point. I get it. They want to get some winning chase back, but going to Carolina, not the easiest place to go.
Carolina's rush defense is really good right now. They are a very strong rush defense. So Baltimore, I think, is going to be able to run the ball as much as they want. Carolina's run blocking has not been as good of late, but they're capable of a lot better over the course of the season. They've been better. I think they have more big play options in their offense overall, and I can't understand why they'd be a dog either, because to me, Baltimore's got a fantastic defense, but Carolina, if you take the team as a whole, is every bit as good, if not better, and you got to take the home team.
Oakland and Indy, I mean, no playoff implications to this one. Oakland selling guys off. Obviously, Cooper gets traded earlier in the week. The Colts won big last week, 37-5 in Buffalo. Do they go on the road and win again?
I think they can, actually, because Indianapolis, the big thing for them is that their blocking has been fantastic the last few weeks, and their run blocking especially, 57.5% good blocking rate over the past 2 games. Problem is that Oakland's run defense is really, really good over the past 5 weeks, but their pass rush has been terrible. So I think even though Luck only threw 23 passes last week, I think they get him back to throwing. He was going to throw like 750-plus heading into that game over the course of the season. I think they get back to the pass-heavy approach, and I think the Raiders don't have anybody in the secondary who can slow the Colts. The Colts easily on that one.
KC Joyner breaks down week number 8. Looking at the matchups this week, it's the Rams and the Packers. It's, I look at Green Bay as an average team with Aaron Rodgers. Without Rodgers, I think they're a bad team. This Rams team is very good. I think people just always give Green Bay a shot because they have Rodgers, which is fair, but they might be in over their head in this one.
They are. It's going to be one of those situations. It's going to be like where they'll be able to keep up for a time, but the Rams have so much depth, and their blocking has been just phenomenal this year. They were a great blocking line coming into the season. They're easily the best. They're top 5 in pass blocking and run blocking. They do everything well. Yeah, I know they're missing Cooper Kupp, but their offense is still so phenomenal. In fantasy, Gurley's just been ridiculous. He's got 4 games of 30-plus points. I mean, he's winning leagues by himself. Their defense, like I said, is stronger than they've shown. Green Bay's defense is better than people would think. Their pass defense especially, but I just don't think that Green Bay has the weapons to go on the road and win like that.
All right, take a look at the final couple games. Another stinker this week, San Francisco at Arizona. Rosen's got Turk too. San Francisco, obviously, the issues at quarterback for them. Their defense, I think, has given up the most points in the league. So maybe we get an entertaining game between two bad teams?
San Francisco's still got some really good run blocking. I think they've got some. They don't have any playmakers because now Garcon's out and Breidis are banged up. So I just think it's a matter of when you've got Arizona, if Rosen's banged up, who are you going to play quarterback now? I mean, going back to Bradford, and we saw what Bradford did early in the year. Just Arizona's offense is just atrocious this year, and San Francisco's got the capability to have a decent offense. So I got to pick San Francisco.
Big one on Sunday night. We'll have that game for you live on 97.3 ESPN. Saints go to Minnesota, the matchup, the rematch, and we know how this one went the last time. Minnesota walks off with a surprise win. This time, Saints have won, 5 in a row, looking to make it 6 straight. Minnesota's turned it around a little bit. So can Minnesota or could the Saints get revenge on the Vikes?
Surprisingly about New Orleans is because early in the season, because it's Drew Brees, everybody thinks, hey, this is a vertical offense. This is a team that likes to throw the ball out. That's not who they want to be. Last year, they were run first and pound the ball at you and play really strong defense. They've got one of the best run defenses in the league. Any metric you pick, they're just that strong. If you can stop Minnesota's rushing game and you've got the Vikings trying to throw the ball, it's not what they want to do. They're banged up, too. I mean, they're playing Murray. It looks like Cook's going to be out again. So I just think Minnesota doesn't have quite as many options to win as New Orleans. So even though it's a home game for the Vikings, I'm picking the Saints on the road.
All right, and the Monday night matchup, not a great one. Patriots-Bills. I don't know. Who sat down and said, let's stick these two because there's something compelling. Even if Buffalo, who made the playoffs last year, by the way, was half decent. This is never a compelling matchup. How do you put this one on Monday night?
I think you justify it by saying you're giving Monday Night Football to New England, and to say that you want to be able to say we gave you New England, we gave you I think a Dallas one game. You want to be able to say that, and if Buffalo was anywhere near what it was last year, at least it would be more compelling than what it is. But Buffalo right now, I mean, I give them credit for being as you see a lot of fight in this team for a team that's played as badly as it has. I got to give McDermott credit for what he's doing there, but they don't have anywhere near the talent to keep up with the Patriots. And even with the Patriots missing Sony Michel, it's still going to be it should be a blowout for the Patriots.
Atlanta, Dallas, Tennessee, and the Chargers. They have the byes this week. That's a look at week number 8. Let's bring it back to Philly and Jacksonville. They're in London. KC Joyner, we went over the matchups. Who do you like in the game based on the matchups in this one?
The matchups lean slightly in Jacksonville's direction, but when I'm picking games, I'm trying to pick who the better team is the first tiebreaker, and then if you don't have a better team, it's who's at home. Well, they're both on the road, so it doesn't really count. And if I've got to go to the third tiebreaker, I'm always going quarterback. And I look at Blake Bortles versus Carson Wentz. To me, it's an easy pick. I'd say, okay, I'm going to pick the Eagles because they've got a much better quarterback. And the Bortles is where he is at this point in his career. It's a shame because Jacksonville is a team that could be Super Bowl contenders and building a dynasty if they had a good quarterback, but they've got a guy they can't count on.
All right, there's our Week 8 look. It is the Sports Bash Live. Don't forget, KC Joyner's back on Monday's show. We will recap all of the Week 8 action right here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. Before we go, Casey, of course, does a little bit of writing for ESPN's WWE site as well, and you got a chance to sit down with Triple H, an article that is at ESPN.com right now.
I did. Right after the Mae Young Classic, I got an exclusive interview, sat down with her about 20 minutes, got to ask him a lot of questions. In fact, even Shawn Michaels stepped up, and we got some quotes from him as well. So talks about where they are with evolution with the Mae Young Classic, with just how they go about finding rushers. A lot of interesting things. He covered a lot of ground in the article. So pretty interesting read at ESPN.com's WB section.
All right, check that out. ESPN.com, WWE section. KC Joyner's conversation with Triple H for all you WWE fans out there. He does a great job covering that. And, of course, the NFL right here on the Sports Bash. Thank you, pal.
Appreciate it.